Howdy y'all, Big Vern, vegan Trump supporter here to talk to y'all about some recent developments in the old vegan community. Well, it seems to be we've all come together recently and decided that, well, we're going to change some certain sayings that people here in America especially just kind of toss about like ain't nobody's business. Like, these sayings ain't insensitive to people like me and other vegans who are just doing our best day to day to make the world a much better place and make people who ain't vegan think about maybe become vegan. Not because they want to, but because that's just the right thing to do. I mean, it's really not even debatable at this point that being a vegan is really the only acceptable way of life to be in the old United States. See, because if you ain't a vegan, basically what you're doing is you're saying it's okay to kill innocent little animals and promote things like global warming. I mean, what are we all gonna do when cities like Miami and New York City are just full on underwater, and then there's polar bears walking around everywhere because their home got melted up there in the northern ice caps just because you had to have a big juicy chicken wing? Ain't no reason for that. So what we try and do is trying to fix that language to be a little bit more inclusive of everybody. Because fact is, some of these common turn-of-phrase idioms that people just bandy about, you know, without thinking about are things that us vegans want us to be able to say too, but we want to take a little bit off the top. Make them a little less aggressive. So what we've done is we've taken some of these just regular, everyday sayings and we've changed them to be a little bit more vegan-friendly. So let's look at a couple of these things here. So the first idiom I want to present to you is the old saying, kill two birds with one stone. Forever people just been bandying about this old saying, thinking about, you know, multitasking and, you know, being efficient with your time. And as great of a message as it does sound, the real underlying message is quite hurtful to poor, innocent birds. You know, these birds are beautiful and they just fly around and they don't really bother nobody. And they make some quite peaceful music that if you just wake up in the morning and the sunlight hits your face and you just mind your own business and you have a little bit of peace in your day and you just hear these beautiful birds start chirping away. I mean, no birds ain't hurting nobody. That'd be the point of birds. So instead of saying kill two birds with one stone, we gonna change that to feed two birds with one scone. I mean, could it be any more beautiful than a scene of feeding birds with scones? I mean, that seems quite nice for a bird if you ask me, because, you know, ever since I became vegan, I've fallen in love with scones. You get some real good scones here in New York City, and I'm quite the scone aficionado. I mean, you can get yourself a nice cinnamon scone, or a nice blueberry scone, or strawberry jam scone, or, you know, you can dip it in that, you know, some honey. That's always good. And, I mean, what bird wouldn't want a scone? Not to mention, I mean, you got people out there feeding the birds with things like bread. I mean, maybe that's something your parents do, but here in, you know, the 21st century, I mean, what bird wouldn't want a scone? And is there any better way to treat a bird than by showing it how majestic it is and honoring its presence here in the world than feeding a bird a scone? Feed two birds with one scone. That is a beautiful saying if you ask me. Another saying that we decided we're going to change is let the cat out of the bag. Now, this seems excessively violent to me, keeping a cat in a bag, because unlike killing two birds with one stone, instead what you're doing now is you're just torturing a sweet, innocent cat. A cat who is just living its life, playing in its litter, licking its paws, running around the neighborhood all unsupervised. How great is a cat? Not to mention a cat, they fall on their feet all the time. You can drop from an 80-story building, always fall on their feet. Cats are very, very independent animals. So instead of let the cat out of the bag, just in the case that there's some important information you need to say, instead what we're going to change that to is spill the beans. Spill the beans! You see how safe that is? You see how much less violent that is? Because beans are meant to be spilled. You ever just have a bunch of beans that you're going to cook up and, you know, they're all bundled up there in the bag, and then you cut the bag and then the beans just start spilling everywhere? I mean, that happens all the time when you're a vegan. You know, especially when you're living off of mostly beans, which is what old Big Vern likes to do. Not to mention they're very affordable, and when you live in New York City, sometimes you gotta save money on things like your vegan food. not all vegan food is meant to be expensive, and that's the beauty of beans. They're so cheap and affordable. Well, they can be quite messy. So instead of keeping a poor, innocent, beautiful cat in a bag, and then you decide you have some information that needs to get out, and then you let the cat out of the bag, well, no, why don't you just spill the beans? Spill the beans. Now you got your information, no cats were harmed in the process, and then we get to make some delicious beans. And the beautiful thing is, even if you spill the beans and they fall on the floor, you can just wash them right off there in your hand, right there in the sink. You can put them in a boiling pot of water and have yourself a nice helping of beans. This one is slowly turning into one of my favorites. Instead of saying, take the bull by the horns, we gonna say, take the rose by the thorns. See, because I feel like this one relays the message so much more effective than grab the bull by the horns. Because, let's be honest, ain't nobody grabbing no bull by the horns. Yeah, maybe that might really get you in the mood to do something adventurous and to maybe step up and be a little daring and challenge yourself a little bit. Sure, grab the old bull by the horns. But you think the bull wants to be grabbed by the horns? You ever seen a bullfight? Well, old Big Vern here has been his share of bullfights. In fact, back when I was a horrible, terrible, meat-eating American, I entertained the idea of fighting bulls. But it seemed like such a dangerous profession, not just for me, but for the old bull. And ain't nobody want to just grab the bull by the horns, because you do that, you're going to make the bull very angry. And this is a mutually destructive act between a person and a bull. So instead of that, what you're going to do is you're going to grab a rose by the thorns, because, well, this is equally as dangerous as grabbing a bull by the horns. You ever grab a rose by the thorns? Some thorns are very prickly. You put your hand around the thorn, and you prick yourself so hard, you start bleeding from your fingertips, and ain't no band-aids too big or too small to fit perfectly around an old thorn-poked fingertip. So, it's equally as dangerous, and if nothing else gets the message across. You want to do something to challenge yourself. You want to really go for it in life. Well, why not just grab the rose by the thorns and prick yourself a little bit, because now you ain't hurting no bull, and you ain't daring yourself to get killed by a very dangerous angry bull. Not to mention, roses are very pretty, and if you grab the rose by the thorn, chances are you're going to give that rose to somebody, and, well, who doesn't love getting nice, pretty red roses? Now, the last one I want to present, this one seems to be the one that's been getting the most press here in the old mainstream media, which we all know is very corrupt and very anti-Donald Trump, but they gonna focus their attention what they gonna focus on. So, the biggest one, probably the one that's gonna get used the most, is the old saying, bring it home the bacon. Well, we ain't gonna say that anymore. We ain't gonna allow people to just bandy about like it's okay to just bring home bacon. Well, what if you wanted to bring home bacon and then everybody at your home decided to go vegan? Well, your face sure is gonna be red. So instead of bringing home the bacon, we're gonna change that to bringing home the bagels. That's right, because who doesn't love a bagel? I love a bagel, especially here in New York City. We got some of the best bagels, because we got some of the best juice. But bagels ain't confined here to just being popular in New York City. Oh, no, they're not. Bagels are very popular all over the country. They're a delicious breakfast pastry that you can smother on some good vegan cream cheese, like some good nut cheese, or maybe a little bit of jelly and some old peanut butter. That's always nice on a good old bagel. Whereas the bacon was a little innocent, beautiful piggy who lived in a pigsty and well, made beautiful pig noise. Ain't no one to bring home the bacon. The bacon ain't really even talking about what you're trying to relate in that scenario. Because bringing home the bacon, the whole idea is to say, oh, hey, you're quite the breadwinner. You're making quite a bit of money, and, well, you're bringing home the bacon. Maybe you're the head of the household, and that's how you file on your taxes. And, well, you make a good amount of money, and, well, people will say, well, you're bringing home the bacon. But when you actually break down the economics of the whole scenario, it seems to be that bagels cost a lot more than bacon. Bacon you can buy so cheap. If you're telling somebody you're going to bring home the bacon, all you're saying is, hey, you're going to bring home maybe a couple bucks. But you're going to bring home the bagels? I mean, that's an investment. Not to mention bagels can last for days. And you'll be much healthier. I mean, all of these scientific studies show how much healthier bagels are than bacon. Ain't nobody ever died because they be eating too many bagels. People dying all the time because they eating too much bacon, that's for sure. So we gonna change this one to make it a little bit more vegan friendly. And instead of saying bringing home the bacon, you're gonna tell people you're gonna bring home the bagels. So this is a very important thing that I want to relate to y'all, and I hope y'all understand why us vegans got together and did this, because really, if nothing else, it's for the better of humanity, and it's for the better of the animals who we do have to share the planet with, and if we don't, well, one day there might not be no animals. So we need to be kind, and it all starts in the way we talk, especially how we teach our children to talk. So hope y'all enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you on the next one.